In the world of custom builds, every project starts with a vision. For Garret Niss, that vision begins with this truck, his first. But Garret didn't just see a truck, he saw potential for something extraordinary. Here at Firepunk, we took that vision and turned it into a reality. What you're about to witness is not just a transformation, it's the birth of a legend. We started at the ground up, custom 9-inch axles, a back half, and a 4-link suspension that promises not just looks, but performance. Every piece, every weld, a step closer to turning Garret's dream into a tangible beast. Under the hood, we didn't just install an engine, we engineered a powerhouse. A D&J Enforcer 6.7-liter Cummins with an 80mm and 134mm compound turbo setup, Exergy 400% over injectors, dual Exergy 14mm CP3s, and 3 stages of nitrous. This engine isn't just about power, it's about making a statement. Yet beauty transcends its surface. Crazy cuttings in Arizona elevated this truck, not just with gold plating, but by turning mere metal into a canvas of art. Every line, every curve, meticulously hand engraved to embody perfection. Inside, James Deck Customs in New Jersey transformed the interior, adding leather, custom diamond stitching, and Alcantara accents throughout the cabin, bringing a touch of modern luxury to this performance Ram. With over 2,000 hours of relentless effort invested, let's dive into the video that captures the essence of this project, where we'll reveal the intricate details and innovative solutions that brought this vision to life.
Back half wrapped up, got all the shocks mounted and our roll bar mounted. Rear is basically 100% done other than a little bit of welding. So now I'm working on the front. Working on getting the shocks mounted up front right now. Once I get all that stuff done, I have to notch the frame right here for some pumpkin clearance. Right now the axle's set at ride height. So after that, I'm gonna go ahead and flip the frame, get that cut out, get the patch welded back into it, and then probably set an engine and trans in it and start working on maybe some exhaust stuff. We're gonna try and put a 6-inch exhaust all the way back in it, so it's gonna be kind of tough. Got the steering arms welded onto the knuckles. Got the rack mounted. Hopefully later today I'll be able to get the engine sat back into it, then work on getting the cab mounted, and then hopefully start working on the tubular header. Once I get the header done, we'll probably move on to setting the big turbo out front, find a good location for that, and then try to squeeze a 6-inch downpipe all the way back and go ahead and make the exhaust. That way I can make the rest of the turbo kit kind of fit around the big exhaust.
just got Garret Niss's truck off the dyno, and as you saw, it was making some amazing hits. The last pull we had a tire frying 1770 horsepower. Should have been a solid 2000 horsepower hit, but it came up over the rollers and started spinning on the dyno platform. So next time it goes on, we need to use some more chains and tighten it down a little bit better, but it is rowdy. So now this is the point where we take this truck all the way back apart and send a lot of these pieces out for polishing, hand engraving, nickel plating, and gold plating. And then once it all comes back together, the cab will go out for a custom interior, center console build, and sound system install. And then when it all comes back together, we need to reassemble this thing and get this thing all together and finished up for SEMA. We're looking forward to having this in the SEMA show in 2024. All right, so I'm here with Santiago with Crazy Cuttings, and he was gracious enough to show me around today. And learning a lot about this whole process has been kind of eye-opening to me, just to see the level of craftsmanship that goes into it. And all of your stuff is hand engraved, is that correct?
Yeah,
or
yeah. So basically everything is hand engraved.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Very good. So we've got here, we're kind of in the engraving area. We've got, what, 3 different engraving stations here. The guys are gone for the day now. But, and then you also have another engraving station in the other shop.
Right.
And you also have some remote engravers. So
Exactly.
how many people do you have that can do engraving? And
At the moment, we're sitting at about 14 engravers.
Okay.
That engrave from, like you said, 3 different locations.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So you were telling me earlier today a little bit about how you have some, like, you have your main engravers, and what they would do would be this, what you see here, the actual engraving.
Right.
And then this one is partially shaded. So then you have a different crew that does the shading. Is that correct?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So these guys, the artists, do all the design and the engraving on there.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have another team that comes in and does all the shading, little dotting
Mm-hmm.
to highlight the engraving.
Yeah. So earlier today when I was shooting some video, I think he was working on this piece, had just barely started on it, but got a lot of the detail done on that. So it looks like this was maybe originally chromed, and then or like, what's the color going on there?
Right. So basically the customer sent us some Harley parts, and he bought them chrome.
Uh-huh.
So he brings them to us. We strip off the chrome, get it down to a polished level.
Mm-hmm.
That's copper right there.
Mm-hmm.
We can work through the copper.
Okay.
And then we have it engraved. We'll do the shading, and then we'll go ahead and
Okay. But the chrome itself is really hard, and so that's why you try to get it stripped off.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. We can't engrave through the chrome.
Yeah. So then there's the two-tone pieces, which that's a whole nother level of work. So I don't see any masked pieces here, but pretty much obviously it has to go through the engraving process and the shading process, and then it gets chrome plated from there. And then after the chrome plating, then all of the shaded, the chrome areas get masked off with a liquid, what is it, a liquid silicone?
masking. Yeah.
So, and that all gets done by hand, and then from there they get gold plated. So really cool process, lots of skilled craftsmanship that goes into it. Here you can see this is pretty much the same deal, except it's a full chrome or full gold plated instead of two-tone. So gives it a little bit of a different look, but yeah, definitely a couple different styles you can go there, but just a lot of really cool stuff around here. And that shading just really makes everything pop. Like if you wouldn't have the shading in there, then everything would just kind of blend together because it's all shiny. So now you kind of have a matte and a shiny contrast. So really cool stuff.
So we're getting close on Garret Niss's truck. We got the bed here. We've been working on it the last couple weeks, trying to get it smooth. Came to us with all this nasty bed liner on it, and the bed's kind of beat up. And the purpose of the truck is going to be a show truck, so we want it to look nice. So me and Lynn decided the best thing to do was to smooth it. We're getting ready to work on putting a wood floor in it, and after that, everything's going to paint. And hopefully October we'll be able to reveal it to you guys.
are getting ready to take Garrett's bed up to paint. We've got the bed liner finished up. I got the hardwood floor in, although you can't see it right now because we just ripped it out. Pretty much I attached it to a 1/2-inch subfloor plywood and made it 3 pieces. So we got everything drilled and fitted really well. And we're going to go get this thing painted, pick up the frame tomorrow, and then we can start assembling a rolling chassis here in the next week or two once all of our parts start rolling in. So starting to get ready to do the fun stuff and make this thing look pretty cool. So excited to see this thing start coming together.
Okay, we've got Garret Niss's truck behind us, and it's in 1,000,000 pieces, and we have 10 days to get this thing ready for SEMA. We're going to follow on this process, getting this truck back together, but it's going to be pretty awesome when it's all done. Here's the cab. It just came back from Railroad Customs, getting painted. A lot of these fittings for the ECM and the PMU, and everything gets connected down here. Everything's paint matched. The interior, we're working on getting the stereo wired up, seat mounts, have Alcantara on the dash, but you can see we still have a lot of work to do on the interior. Here's a table of parts coming back from gold plating. These were out at Crazy Cuttings, and they gold plated a lot of these parts and pieces, and so now we have to go through and clean up all the threads, because when they dip these in the tank to do the nickel plating, it gives a corrosiveness on the threads that we have to clean up. Now here you can see the wishbone, beautiful work, control arms, you can see all these pieces. So some assembly is required. Mitch is working on the new sound system. Got all this stuff from Crutchfield, and this is the center console, CAN keypad. So we have to clean this up. You can see the rust flying. Now look at the inside of these things. They are disgusting. So we had more parts show up. Valve cover showed up. See, it's engraved on the side. Intercooler pipes. Coolant pipes. Front differentials are going together. And here RJ's cleaning up the oil pan. Here's the Exergy rail that Frank Pierre did. Phenomenal job. More intercooler pipes. That's the tensioner cover. And these are a lot of the door vents, speaker vents. So all of the interior panels, we sent these out, had them cut out, and then sent them out to get engraved, gold plated, nickel plated. This is the door panels. These still have the white markings on it, still need cleaned off, but this all went out and had leather wrapped, Alcantara and leather with red diamond stitching. We have the engine and transmission going in, accessories going on. Here's the alternator, all disassembled. We had to disassemble it so that it could be sent out for engraving and gold plating. And now these wires here all come through this back cover and then have to get resoldered back here. And that is the inside of the alternator. Mitch got it mostly back together. Now you just got to solder the connectors. I've got more of the engine accessories loaded on. Got the front axle in. Those outer knuckles look so good. Got the rear axle in there. Making more progress. Got some of the brakes calipers mounted, brake lines, and our roll bar installed. Brakes. Got the transmission cooler mount. The transmission cooler is over at 614 Shine, getting polished up. The power steering cooler. Front drive shaft is in. Got the engine wiring harness on. This plugs into the bottom of the cab. More brakes. Got the header off, getting Zy-Clear put on it to keep the mild steel flanges from rusting that are polished. Belt is on, and Zig and Whitley are over here working on getting some of the fuel plumbing in. This is the nitrous line, still missing a fitting, but it's looking really good. Monday night update. Got the exhaust going in. You see some of the detail. Got the wastegates on. Got a lot of the fuel plumbing done over here. And working on the interior and the bed. Here Mitch is installing the lights on the sides of the bed. Lena's working on the door panels.
Alright, so this door panel's ready to go on, but we had to put these trim pieces on. Over the speakers here, we just cut out the factory grill so that you don't see the plastic behind this grill, and then you'll be able to see the speaker through that pretty good. So yeah, I had to put this reflector on, but this thing's ready to go on. We'll have to put the handle and the cup holder in once we get it on, but this one's good to go. Tuesday, we've got 2 more days to get this truck done. Everything's starting to come together, but man, a lot of these little things fight us. You know, a lot of the gold plating, all of these fittings, if you get any kind of gold plating on the ends, like we sent that stuff out, they dipped it, becomes corrosive. Now we've got some leaks, so we're going through and just fixing all these little things that you don't anticipate taking extra time, but we're hoping to get the cab and the bed on later today, get this thing together so we can get this thing fired up tomorrow and have this thing ready to roll on Thursday. Getting the cab on the lift, and then we're going to get the chassis out and roll it underneath it. Put the cab on first, and then put the bed on second. Gonna look good. So this is a carbon fiber wheel, and then we rewrapped this with Alcantara and red stitching, and then had the black airbag put in, so you get factory functions. It's the last day. We have this thing ready at 5 o'clock today. Things are going pretty good. We've got most of the fuel, oil, everything plumbed. We're putting fluids in. We're just finishing up final details. We still have some rock lights, wiring to finish up. A lot of stuff like putting the wheels on, the center caps, and all of the bead lock holes. Those all have to be tapped. Take a brand new wheel out of the box and you still got to spend a couple hours tapping all the holes to where you can put it on the truck, but I think it's going to come together and it's looking really, really good.
to show you underneath Garrett's truck. Here you can see the engine oil pan is engraved, bottom of the intercooler up there. Then the 48 RE polished drive shafts. Got the power steering cooler. Got the catch can, the transmission cooler. The mount is gold plated. And then this is your 6-inch stainless exhaust. Even the clamps are engraved and gold plated. And then what everybody's been asking for, there's where the radiator and the AC condenser stack is. And like these are the AC lines that run up front to the AC compressor. And that's what the underside looks like. Alright, we got Garret Niss's truck all together, and it's already back from Las Vegas where it debuted out at the SEMA show. And it got a lot of attention out there, made its rounds on the internet, so I'm here to answer some of these questions that you guys have posed in the comment section. And this is a fully functioning, running, driving truck that can make over 2,000 horsepower on the dyno. And a lot of guys see a truck like this, and the comments section was fairly lit. So I want to address some of those concerns. This is your upper radiator hose right here. A lot of guys saw the water pump block-off plate down here and said it doesn't even have a radiator on it. Well, the radiator and AC condenser stack is up underneath the bed out back, and it's got a Mizzier water pump that circulates coolant through here. Garret, after the SEMA show, drove it out to the desert about 40 miles for a photo shoot and drove it back. It's got air conditioning, full sound system, so it is a full functioning street truck that can also hit the drag strip and dyno if he wants to. Let's talk about 5-lug axles. These are 5-lug by 5.5 axles, but they are not your 1500 Ram pickup axles. These are 9-inch axles. They're Moser 40 spline gun drilled axles, 5/8-inch studs, and they have Spider Tracks outers. This is kind of like the trophy truck off-road racing style front end that's on this, so it's a very strong axle. And the same thing with the rear. It's got 9.5-inch Pro Gear ring and pinion in it. It's the same axle that a lot of pro mods run, that run 3,500 to 4,000 horsepower through them. A lot of guys feel like this was a downgrade going from an 8-lug to a 5-lug, but this is very common in the racing world. So that is why this truck has 5-lug axles, because it's a race truck and a show truck combined as one. So the next thing that people asked about was these lines over here in the intake. This is the one stage of nitrous, and we have hard lines instead of soft lines, and this gets nitrous injected directly into the port, and so you get an instant response. So on race trucks that were using nitrous when we're launching, we get an immediate response to the nitrous. So some of the comments thought we were injecting brake fluid just because it was over here. Sorry to say, it's nitrous. And no, diesels do not run propane. I've heard that a lot in SEMA show as well, that diesels don't have nitrous. It has to be propane. It does a nitrous system. There's one kit here, and there's 2 stages on the intercooler. We have enough nitrous on board here that we can add 1,000 horsepower with nitrous. So if it does 2,000 horsepower fuel only, we could technically make 3,000 horsepower with nitrous. We have a very similar combo like this on Justin Ziegler's truck that did 3,336 horsepower to the rear tire. We have not sprayed this truck this hard, and I don't think Garrett's planning to push it that hard, but if we really wanted to, we could make well north of 2,000 horsepower with this setup. Alright, so to fire this thing up, we've got our CAN keypad here. We can turn the ignition on, and we fire it up right here. So this is how we got rid of the front cross member up top with the hood latch in it, is we put actuators in here that latch to the hood. So it's one press of a button inside and it'll bring the hood down, and that actually holds the hood shut, so we don't need a hood latch. So this is how far the hood opens with the actuator. So he pulls up to a show, press of a button, the hood opens. If you want to work on the truck, we just pull these pins here, and we can open the hood the rest of the way, put the actuators back down. So another function of the bed is we've got a smooth bed cover, and it's got a shaved tailgate, so the tailgate latch is on the inside. So we've got a handy remote right here. Now we just hold the button and it opens the tonneau on the back, and then you have access to the tailgate latch on the inside. Saw that run, I put a lot of load on the dyno, so it just slowly accelerates, and you can see how wiggly this line is. I was just casually just driving up. That's about 40% throttle and went to 1,269 horsepower and 1,700 foot-pounds of torque. You can just drive this truck into power so easily. That is a wrap for Garret Niss's project. Got this thing, put some miles on the dyno this morning. Just doing some fine tuning, getting the pilot injection, rail pressure and everything dialed in, get the smoke as clean as possible, and just did some baseline pulls, making sure there's no leaks. Got some nice gold color in the polished exhaust housings and the hot pipe and the manifold. Really looks wonderful. It's turning some nice shades of colors. Kind of matches in with the other gold plating we have going on, but altogether this thing's all ready to go. I think we saw 1,470 horsepower on that last pull. That's about 70% of the fuel quantity available, fuel only. Make it nice, easy, 60 pounds of boost. This truck makes 120 pounds of boost turned all the way up. But altogether, keep an eye out for this truck. Garret will be bringing it to truck shows next year. If he wants to put on the dyno and make a number, he can. He can drive the thing. Altogether, it'll be a fun truck to watch and see this truck at the shows next year.